is High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Back here with Lynn Burke, filling in for the coach Ed Young on this final Saturday before Christmas. Matt Hatfield with you, Thomas Simmons, other side of the glass on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. We got a special guest here, and he's going to tell us about the crossover high school Christmas holiday showcase coming to the Hampton Coliseum December 27th, as well as his boys basketball team. I believe, Lynn, this is, if I'm not mistaken here, year 24 at the helm of the Bethel Bruins, who he's taken to the state tournament a couple of different times, and a career record of 363 and 203 entering this year. So he's approaching 400 victories. We say season's greetings and hello to Coach Craig Brehon. Coach, how's the holidays treating you?
Matt, I'm glad to have this time off for Christmas, these couple of weeks we have from school. Things are going well. Looking forward to getting back in the gym with our guys and preparing for this classic. We've got the Iverson Classic and the next New Year.
Yeah, some good matchups coming up on Thursday, it is, at the Hampton Coliseum. You can get tickets by going to hamptoncoliseum.org with Booker T versus Kickingham, Norcom, and Menchville at 3:30, following that 2 o'clock opener with Kickingham and the Bookers. Churchland Phoebus at 5, Jamestown Bethel at 6:30, and Lake Taylor Hampton at 8 o'clock. Let's get into your team a little bit. Saw you guys in our Super Showcase Saturday at Churchland a few weeks back, right before the season, and it looks like this team is got some good underclassmen, and you're in the right direction. It's a process, right?
Well, it is a process, and we are in the right direction. We've got to keep these kids together, and I applaud the kids, their effort, although we're losing this year. We're 2-5 at present. We've been in some games, and what we've got to correct, obviously, is the mental breakdowns, the turnovers. We put ourselves in position for success, watching film, walking through those situations in practice. And when you get to the game, sometimes the game gets sped up and guys aren't just making the right decisions. But we, as a staff and our players, have got to stay the course and correct those turnovers. We're averaging about 19 a game right now, just too many to win any ball games, any meaningful ball games. And that's our mindset right now.
Well, we had Mark Butts earlier on from First Colonial, and his team's got a couple of nice wins here going to the Atlantic Shores Christmas Championship today, and he mentioned the live ball turnovers with a young team. That can be an issue. But I noticed the other day, even in your loss to Woodside, you had a lead on them early, tight game at halftime. So you've gone up against some of the better teams, and there's a lot of quality teams at the top of the Peninsula District, and you've held your own. It's just a matter of finishing and handling adversity when it comes?
Well, that's correct. We were up at half and was up 7-18 after the first quarter. But what we've got to do is stay the course. You know, what got us to that point was playing as a unit. We don't have an individual on this team that can lead us like we've been accustomed to in the past. So our guys have got to trust each other, play with each other, and not try to do too much. Sometimes we're trying to manufacture plays, and it leads to live ball turnovers, dunks, or layups in the other direction. And that's gotten us in trouble. So once we just start sharing the ball instead of trying to do a lot individually, when we're ahead, when we're having success, I think we'll have success as the games come to closure. But I'm happy and proud of these guys. We had a good game against Woodside the other night, and I told the kids, I'm not going to sit here and be satisfied with a moral victory. You played well. We've got to get better and win these games, but we're on the right track.
Craig, can you talk a little bit about the showcase coming up at the Coliseum?
Sure. This will be the fourth year that Allen Iverson has provided this tournament for us at the Hampton Coliseum. His foundation gives the money to us so that we can have that location. And through Allen and Reebok and Gary Moore, they have been super for about 15 years to me at Bethel High School and, of course, to this region to provide that venue for high school basketball. I think it's going to be really, really bigger as we continue to go forward. But Allen will be there courtside just to watch some of the upcoming talent this year. He will also, after each game, they'll have a Game Changer Award, which is like the MVP of each game. They'll get his new pair of shoes. They're the Legacy shoes from Reebok,
nice.
Which is the culmination of all of his shoes he's had in one. And so each MVP will get that shoe award after each game. And we just look for some great competition that day. Like you said, some of the teams that are ranked in the area are going to be playing that day. And we just look for great competition and a great day.
Is it difficult at all to get teams to come to play in the showcase?
Well, it hasn't been difficult at all. What I basically do, I send the letters out or contact the schools in the area that have participated the previous year and ask if they want to play. And they always do want to come back. We could probably make it bigger and make it 2 days like we had initially. But right now we're just keeping it with 1 day. It's not hard at all. I think as we continue to go on with this process, we may invite some private schools in conjunction with public schools and not let them necessarily play the public schools, but be a part of that event to make it even bigger and to bring some outside teams in. But no problem getting teams in at all. It doesn't cost a team to participate. They just have to show up. Their kids get a tournament shirt. There's hospitality room for the coaches and the media and so forth. And just a great venue to play in, I think, at the Hampton Coliseum. We really appreciate Allen Iverson and Reebok and his foundation for what they do for us.
We were talking earlier for a high school kid used to playing in a high school gym. All of a sudden, he's coming into a place that seats 9,000-10,000, and it's got to be a little bit different and hopefully a little bit more challenging for them.
Well, it is. If you're not used to playing in a big arena, when you go and play in that versus a high school gym, there's no wall behind that basket. And so depth perception does come into play. And so kids have to either get some practice time in that type of facility or just not take the shots you normally would take in a high school gym. That's kind of the advice we give our guys, and until they get a feel for the basket and the atmosphere. But the kids adjust well. They know how to adjust. The coaches speak to their own kids, and it's been great games there the previous 3 years, and I just think it's going to be great games again this year.
Chatting with Craig Brehon. He's the head boys basketball coach at Bethel High in Hampton. Our guest on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Again, 5 matchups coming up on December 27th. That's this Thursday, 2 days after Christmas. It starts with Booker T. Washington and Kecoughtan at 2 o'clock. IC Norcom out of Portsmouth taking on Menchville, a very improved team out of Newport News at 3:30. Churchland from Portsmouth playing Phoebus at 5 o'clock. Phoebus among the top teams in the PD and the state in Class 3. Bethel, Coach Brehon's Bruins in action at 6:30 against Jamestown out of the Bay Rivers District, and 8 o'clock the nightcap with Lake Taylor and Hampton. The Titans of Lake Taylor, Coach Brehon's alma mater, defending state champs, in the Hampton Crabbers, always in the hunt in Class 5. To get tickets, you can visit HamptonColiseum.org. That's HamptonColiseum.org for the crossover promotions presenting the High School Christmas Holiday Showcase, hosted by Hall of Famer Allen Iverson, a Bethel High grad, and also just show up at the Coliseum and get tickets. And Coach, looking at this year's team for you, no household names like some of the names we've come accustomed to over the years, like the John Tell Evanses, the DeJour Dickenses, the Aaron Baycoat, Cam Baycoat, and so forth and so on. But you got some pieces that could be intriguing by season's end and making some noise. Tell us about some of them. I know Jalen Davis, a guard, that's caught our eye as well.
Well, Jalen Davis is no longer at Bethel. He's at Kecoughtan High School.
Oh, okay.
Transferred after the second game, I believe, to Kecoughtan High School. But we do have Jamani Smith, who is a senior, who's averaging 12 points a game for us. He has actually taken the scoring load as of recently. He had 32 against Gloucester. He had 20 against Woodside the other night. And so he's starting to fill it up for us. We just got to get him to be more consistent with the basketball in his hand. Another junior, Aaron Chappelle, is averaging 7 points a game for us. He's kind of our 3-man. We rely on him to get to the basket, be a slasher, make that mid-range shot, and also defend some of the better players on the other opposing team. But 2 kids in particular who are our future, going to be really good, is a 6'6" freshman, Obaniah Okafor. Mm-hmm. He's a 6'6" post player, but he sometimes says he's like a Durant. He can step away and shoot the 3. And we don't mind him shooting the jump shot, but we want him to make his money in the paint. But he's going to be a really good one. He's going to grow more as he continues to get old. He's just a 14-year-old kid, 6'6". He's led us in scoring twice this year. And another freshman, our point guard, is Joshua Askew. Josh has been thrown in the fire early, but I think you put these kids in a situation, they're certainly going to be able to respond by season's end and going to next year. So we're excited about both of them. And a senior post player, Keyshawn Taylor, who's averaging 6 points a game, 6 rebounds for us as well.
So some good underclassmen there. And Okafor, he caught our eye in the Maury Summer League. A young man that showed some glimpses there. I've wondered this before, and I'll throw it your way. Big man guards, we don't see so many big men anymore in high school basketball. And your program's had a number of them going back to the Duke Cruz and Jamel McClain days. Easier, harder to develop big men guards? What's kind of your assessment of that?
Well, I think of a big man when he was younger has been put in a situation where he's being forced to handle the basketball, forced to be able to create with the basketball, and then they grow. it's a lot easier with their coordination and knowledge of the game. When you have big men that have just played the post their entire lives, they might have been the biggest kids when they were younger, and they're still big when they get to high school level. Sometimes they're just power, either big and bulky in power, or they're long and lanky and just not very strong. So I think it's important that when you have basketball players early on, whether they're big or not in rec ball, that they have some experience putting the ball on the floor, creating with the basketball, shooting the basketball, facing the basket, rather than everything back to the basket. And we've been fortunate with our bigs, been able to do both. You know, some of them were just back to the basket guys, but most of them have been able to face the basket and create.
Craig, I know it's always competitive over on the peninsula side of the water. What does the PD look like this year? Tough as usual?
It's up as usual. It's not down as far as I'm concerned. The whipping that Phoebus put on us the other night, we had a great game plan in my eyes, and the kids knew it as well. But they've just got so many pieces this year. Had some guys that hit shots that we didn't expect. But they're deep, quality deep. Then you have Minchfield that is well-rounded and have a lot of solid pieces there. Lamont's doing a great job with them. James doing a great job at Phoebus. Hampton is always competitive and at the top, and Kickingham is as well. So those teams, in my estimation, are the teams that are going to be hunted this year by the rest of us. Woodside is also solid. So it's just tough as usual, and this year we're on the back end looking in, but we're going to keep fighting and keep scrapping and put ourselves hopefully in position to win some games.
I was thinking about this the other day, Coach, and you can weigh in on this. You know, back in the old days when you had district tournaments and district standings, if you will, you were always battling with those teams to try to get one of those top 4 seeds for the Eastern Region tournament. And now with you guys being in Class 5, and goodness, y'all had some great hellacious battles a couple years ago with Hampton and won that state semifinal game at Hampton University on your way to the state championship game against LC Bird. And now it's like the non-district games, I think, for teams fighting to get in, because I look at Class 5 Region A, not that it's a foregone conclusion, but I think there's about 6 teams that you say are solidly in, with the likes of Maury and Norview and Green Run and Hampton and Menchville and Kickingham. So you got a couple of teams fighting for his last spots. Your team is one of them, an Indian River, a Nansemond River, a Princess Anne of Kempsville. You're almost, those non-district games have as much meaning, maybe sometimes more than the district games. Is that true in your eyes, or am I a little off on that?
Well, you're not off, and it is true. Non-district games certainly can help you, and I think some coaches schedule just to that effect. They want to make sure that they put themselves in a better position. If I'm going to have a tough conference, then I'm going to have the 3 or 4 games I can schedule against some teams that I probably think I can win to give us some points. And so it's come to that as well. But what we try to do is schedule the best teams. We have our 18 games with the teams who play everybody twice in the peninsula. And when someone calls me and says you want to play, I don't say, well, I'll get back with you. We'll play. If they call me and want to play, we play them. And so our non-conferences with your Virginia Preps showcase, you have one of those with I think James Monroe. Mm-hmm. We have Lake Taylor. We have Jamestown, and I believe I can't think of the last team, but they're competitive games. And again, we took that last one will be at the Booker T. Martin Luther King Classic. We don't know the opponent right now, so we'll play whoever they put us in front of.
In the case of James Monroe, Jamestown, and Lake Taylor, all have been to either the regional semifinals or to state playoffs. So teams that have certainly done well in any of their divisions, be it Class 5, 4, or 3. Last couple minutes here with Coach Craig Brehon of the Bethel Bruins. Here, our guest on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Closing in on the 400 win mark in his great career with the Bruins here. Give us an update on some of the former Bruins. We had on Adrian Webb last segment, the girls basketball coach I know played at Bethel over there at Menchville High. But Cam Bacon, I know he's sitting out this year, Indiana State. Jeremiah Wusu, football kid for you a couple years back, now at Notre Dame. And DeJour Dickens helping Old Dominion on this hot streak, huh?
Well, all those guys are doing well, and we expected them to do well. And we stay in touch with all of them. Cam is just ready to play. He doesn't like to sit out, but he's down there at Indiana State and able to travel with them and so forth in practice. And they have high expectations for him, and he's gotten a little stronger. And he's going to be a great asset to that program. And Jeremiah had some injuries this year down at Notre Dame, but I think he's back healthy now. And, of course, they're in the Final Four for college football, and talked to him a few weeks ago as well. And he's doing well in school and just anticipating this great run they've had here at Notre Dame. DeJour is doing a great job at Old Dominion. He's doing for them what he did for us. he's only going to get better. He's long and rangy and can protect that rim. And once they start trusting him a little more on the offensive end, he'll get the ball. Then we have Deshaun Coleman from that team, who's at Virginia Union University, playing there. And then Miles Barrett, our point guard, who was our MVP that a couple years ago. Miles at the apprentice school, and he's playing over there, doing a great job as well.
Yeah, neat to see all those guys from that starting five on that team that made it to the state finals performing for you at the next level.
Yeah, and those guys are obviously upset at how things are going in our program right now. They come back all the time, and they call our kids all the time, and they want things to be turned around. And we recognize things are a process, but it's just tough for us, really. Going through this down situation with our program not winning the way we expect to win, but like I tell the guys that have played in the past, and we tell the guys that are there right now, you've got to want it, and you've got to make the change, and you've got to start putting to action what we work on. And so there's no pointing fingers in our program. We're going to get it turned around, but the kids have just got to believe in themselves and believe in the coaches. And when those things come together, success usually comes behind that.
So our final question this morning, nothing to do with basketball. We've been asking the coaches, what's your favorite Christmas movie with Christmas coming up?
Oh, wow. Well, I don't have necessarily a favorite Christmas movie, but I think I'll say I'm going to choose the Grinch That Stole Christmas, because I want the Grinch to get off of our back. So that's going to be my favorite movie for Christmas right now.
All right, 2 votes this morning for the Grinch. Well, hey, Coach, we wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, a Happy New Year, and I'm sure I'll see you there on Thursday at the Coliseum, all right?
I appreciate it, Matt and Lynn. You guys have a great holiday as well. Thanks so much.
You too,
got
Craig.
it. Thank you, Coach. Craig Brehon of the Bethel Bruins with us this morning on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. Uh-oh, the Grinch is the leader in the clubhouse, folks. 2 votes right now. I'm depending on Norm Hassel to go with my A Christmas Story. Yo, poke your eye out, kid. Little Ralphie. And then the lamp. The lamp is an all-time classic. Lynn's got a couple of those lamps in his house, right? From the Christmas Story? No. His wife won't let that happen. When we come back, we'll talk with Norm Hassel, head basketball coach of the Kellum Knights. They're surging at 6-1 overall, 5-game winning streak, and find out what his favorite Christmas movie is on this High School Sports Talk. The final one before Christmas on ESPN Radio 94.1.